It has December the 25th, 1776. Snow blasts across New Jersey. The wind cuts through tattered coats, freezing bones, and hope alike. The American Revolution is not just losing it, dying. George Washington stands on the banks of the Delaware River, staring at the ice-choked water. His Continental Army is broken. 80% of his soldiers' enlistments end in days. Most will leave without a miracle. The fight for independence ends here, on this cold Christmas night. Washington has no miracles, but he has a plan, a crazy one, a plan that only a desperate man would dare. He will cross the Delaware River, one of the most dangerous waterways in the North, in the middle of a blizzard. He will march the 9 miles, through snow and ice, to Trenton. And he will attack the Hessian mercenaries, garrisoned there, 1,500 well-trained soldiers, hired by Britain, to crush the rebellion. The Hessians think the war is over. They re-celebrating Christmas. They re-drunk, they re-unprepared. And Washington is counting on it. He splits his army into 3 columns. 2,400 men, with him, 700, under General James Ewing. 2,000, under Colonel John Cadwalader. Ewing will block the Hessians' escape. Cadwalader will attack a nearby British outpost. Together, they'll trap the Hessians and win the war's first real victory. But the weather has other ideas. The blizzard slams harder. Wind howls, snow sticks to every surface. Ewing's men can't even launch their boats. Cadwalader gets partway across, but his cannons sink in the ice. He retreats. Washington is alone. 2,400 men against 1,500 Hessians. No backup, no second chance. Victory or death, that's the password for the night. Washington orders the boats to launch. The men of Colonel John Glover's Massachusetts militia, fishermen, used to rough seas, take the oars. The Delaware is full of floating ice. It slams into the wooden boats, splintering wood and shaking resolve. Soldiers huddle together, their fingers blue, their guns frozen solid. 2 men die of hypothermia before they even reach the other side. The crossing was supposed to take 4 hours. It takes 6. They land in New Jersey at 3 a.m. hours late. The element of surprise is fading. But Washington doesn't stop. He yells, "Forward march!" And the army moves. The 9-mile march to Trenton is a nightmare. Snow is knee-deep. Some soldiers have no shoes. Their feet bleed into the snow, leaving red trails. Gun barrels, freeze gunpowder gets wet. Men stumble exhausted, but they keep going. Local farmers, sick of Hessian tyranny, spot the army and rush to help. They act as guides. They give the soldiers hot food and warm drinks. For the first time in months, the Continental Army feels not just like soldiers, but like fighters, with a home to protect. At 8 a.m., the sun peeks through the snow clouds. Washington's army rounds the corner and sees Trenton. The Hessians are still sleeping. Their sentries are drunk. No one is on guard. Washington raises his sword. "Fire!" he shouts. Cannons blast. Musket shots ring out. The Hessians wake up in a panic. They scramble for their weapons, but it's too late. The Continental Army swarms the town. They take control of the main streets. They block every escape route. The Hessian commander, Colonel Johann Rau, is caught off guard. He received a warning that the Americans were coming, but he laughed it off. He thought the Continental Army was too weak to fight. Now he's running through the streets, trying to rally his men. But a musket ball hits him in the stomach. He falls, mortally wounded. Without their leader, the Hessians break. They run to an orchard on the edge of town, but the Americans surround them. There is no way out. At 9:30 a.m., just 90 minutes after the first shot, the Hessians surrender. The numbers tell the story. 22 Hessians dead, 900 captured. Dozens of cannons and thousands of muskets seized. The Continental Army, just 2 men dead, both from hypothermia. A handful wounded, including a young officer named James Monroe, who will one day be America's 5th president. Alexander Hamilton, the future Treasury Secretary, fights bravely with the artillery. John Marshall, the future Chief Justice, marches with the infantry. This isn't just a battle. It is a coming together of America's future. Washington's men cheer. For the first time in a year they feel like winners. But Washington knows the fight isn't over. He marches his army back across the Delaware, taking the prisoners and weapons with him. When the soldiers' enlistments end a few days later, something amazing happens. Most re-enlist, they don't leave. They stay because they now believe they can win. Word of the victory spreads like wildfire. Farmers and blacksmiths and shopkeepers rush to join the Continental Army. The Second Continental Congress, once ready to give up, redoubles its commitment to independence. Britain is shocked. They thought the rebellion was dead. Now it is alive, and it is fighting back. A week later, Washington crosses the Delaware again. He defeats the British at Princeton. In 10 days, he wins 2 battles. He doesn't just save the Continental Army, he saves the American Revolution. The Battle of Trenton isn't a big battle. It is not a bloodbath, but it's the most important battle of the war. Because it proved that the Americans could fight. That they could win. That their dream of independence wasn't just a dream. It is easy to look back and call the Battle of Trenton a miracle. But it wasn't, it was courage. It was Washington's refusal to quit, even when all hope was lost. It was the soldiers who marched through the snow, even when their feet were bleeding. It was the local people who stood with them, even when it meant risking their lives. That's what America is made of. Not miracles, but ordinary people, doing extraordinary things. On that cold Christmas night, in 1776, George Washington and his men didn't just win a battle. They won a future for a new nation. A nation built on freedom. A nation called the United States of America. And it all started on the banks of the Delaware River, in a snowstorm, with a desperate plan and a brave army. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel.